Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Treasury Guild 2024. Just skimmed through quickly our agenda item, and to me, it feels like we have two people in this session who I haven't seen in Treasury Guild before. So, a quick rundown is that we are structuring ambassador rules around payments, tasks, and anything related to financial activities. There will be some activity today in one of the Treasury Guild facilitation agenda and Treasury Guild and its workgroups agenda. There will be more of context how we do things and or at least how we have been doing things so far and what's the plan going forward. But if you zoom out, then the way you can see here is like each of these yellow nodes is our meeting discussions. We basically take meeting notes in the Miro board itself, and each of these sessions have like agenda prepared, and then the summary of that. And usually we have the session video and the summary with it. Not all the time I do video and session summary, but yeah, you can go back in time if there is something you're looking for and just want to catch up. One thing to note is these purple sticky notes on these different Miro boards. These are action items that are still not completed. So if you want to contribute, then you kind of get how things are working here. These are, everybody can pick this up and deliver, and then we take the bounties and tasks we record on Treasury, not Tevo Treasury Guild space. And on top, we have a bit of like documentation stuff I'll try to put here. And the main thing, I guess, is this proposal for Treasury Guild that gives a holistic idea what we're doing. Any questions around what I just shared, I went through? If there is, then mic is open. You can ask questions or put them in Zoom chat, and over the session we answer those. I guess for now, let's then jump in our first action item or agenda item is ambassador program work, budget plans and projects in Q2. So just before we started recording, we quickly looked at the Treasury quarter budget calculator, and we have these three lines here that where we didn't get consensus on the proposals. From the last 2 weeks, I remember that the marketing and video work group we're not on a two consent form, and for writers work group I actually forgot to create the consent form. However, as I understood, the proposal is now ready. And for the also, if I recollect correctly, then the video work group and marketing will concerns were also addressed, but I haven't updated the sheet. So I know in governance work group there was discussions, and maybe there's gonna be 3 consent forms. So yeah, if somebody knows information, perhaps could give a quick summary of what are next steps, and are we sure that these things are amended?
From what I remember in governance meeting this week, we said that we would create a new form for marketing and writers because people have agreed to different totals than what they got. But I think we assigned it to Peter and you probably not had time. So I'm just wondering, does somebody else need to do it?
Yeah, I can quickly do it. It didn't take that much time. I just totally dropped the
Nice.
ball because I didn't put it on my calendar. And I just realized
And we said that we were gonna like ping people directly because sometimes people have notifications, role-based notifications turned off. So that's probably a little bit more hassle and work, but we felt like it was worth.
Okay, so say what? We send private messages, or what was that?
I guess, or just even just I don't know how many pings you can put in a post in that decision to be made channel, but I think we said DMs, but you could do it by just at mentioning people in the channel if you can do 40 people, which I don't know if you can. But yeah, there was something else about, oh yeah, Peter, you were going to update the channel and the core contributor role for new people who have been added. Is that done?
That's not done. I can do.
And also that anybody who's like coming out who was in there last time but isn't. There's a couple, I think.
Yeah, I'll simply update the. There's this sheet, right?
Yeah, you know that I think you own it, Tevo. I think you own that document, the list of core contributors.
You're talking about okay, yeah, we had 31 only here.
Yeah, that's the one. Oh, and we also agreed that we would add Billy because he's self-nominated, so he's not on the list, but he needs added.
Yep.
Okay. Well, that's a good one. Maybe in this session we could do that. I'm gonna put it right now down as a action item. Okay. For list is on the document itself. Are the new appealed added to here? Or are there any new appealed?
No, that's just Billy.
I'm gonna drop the Google Doc. So if we have something to add, then the sooner the better. Everything might be out of sync a little. Okay, and if I understood correctly, we only do it for writers workgroup and video workgroup, and the marketing workgroup is now passed. So the issues are amended, and we don't do consent for them.
No, it's the other way around. We only do it for writers and marketing because marketing's budget has changed.
Okay.
Whereas
And
video,
then,
the objection came in after the deadline. Is that right?
okay. And I was in the video workgroups session also 2 weeks ago where this was discussed, and in the meeting it felt like it was amended and that like this concern was addressed and explained. So that's fine. I will just add that info here. So we don't take it as a concern. I will also remove the color so we don't just get confused. Okay. Anything else that we might be missing? Or shall we move to the various actions? What are these? White test work will be checking the team. Yeah, that happened. And separate meeting for marketing quit. I guess that happened.
And just to say that the actual discussion meeting is in the governance workgroup meeting next Tuesday, which will be the 21st. So like when you're DMing people the forms, you might want to say that.
So you mean updating the consent form to include that if there are any objections, we will use governance workgroup to amend them, or we can use governance workgroup space to amend them.
Yeah, I suppose, yeah. I sort of think if you're DMing people, it might be an idea to sort of put it in the message that the meeting is going to be on the 21st, because people don't always read all the stuff at the top of a form, do they?
Okay. So going back here just in case to see is there any other purple stuff up the proposal link in summary or all right.
One tiny thing, if I may, on this, working on that list now. Stephen got bumped because there's no quarterly report from Archival. I'm not quite Sure. I think we discussed and figured to let it go.
Yeah, we said we wouldn't put him in this time, and because we sort of forgot to nominate him or whatever. So yeah, I think we said we'd leave it, didn't we?
Well, I will add him in here now and nominate him because I clearly have seen him doing stuff. So it's not like.
Yeah, fair.
But the question is does he want? Are we still going to direct messages and sending them to the want to vote or stuff? Or we just add them to the core contributors list and it's up to them if they want to.
I think it'd be good to do both if we can. DMing people gets a better response. But yeah, on the subject of Stephen, I think he'd be happy either way, honestly, for this one. But yeah, we could add him.
Okay, and if we will do that, do I go entire list or we only go with that word that were added to the list? But then, yeah, then I need to do calculation. Any reason why?
Well, it would be all of them.
Okay.
I think there is technically it's opt-in as well. So the new names like Kawi, Jude, Peter, Easy, Farouk, Felix. Technically, they would be the do you want to become core contributor before I add them to the role?
Oh no. Oh no, if we see Kawe here, let me check stats because I didn't know he's not doing anything to ambassador program.
No, he is in the list of people that got added.
Yeah, might have done an error then. Well, I'm gonna check, but there is a danger that I included swarm members.
Yeah.
With Power BI, I had to do filters on different because I just pulled all the data and kind of assumed stuff.
I assumed he'd been doing translation stuff.
Okay. Really?
But I could be wrong.
Oh, his name is popping up. Oh yeah, he's doing ambassador translator. Yeah, I didn't know. Yeah, Mindplex ambassador translator. Okay, he's translating to Portuguese. I didn't actually know. Okay, yeah, then it makes sense. And he's doing it every week, so it's fine. Oh, no, not every week. Okay. So going back to this, so are we sure we want to send every single person a private message and ask him to opt in again? Is this going to be every time we make a new contributor list, or it's gonna be this one-time thing? I'm gonna do it in Excel and then we know who opt in, or it's gonna repeat it.
Well, I do have an overview of all the opt-ins. It's basically to answer your question, we figured it would be a good thing to reach out one time through DM, but ideally people just get tagged with core contributor and that's it. that's the whole system, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think asking people to opt in the first time was probably a good thing. But now that it's established, it's like it doesn't change anything for you just to get the tag. So if you don't want to take part, you just don't fill in the form or do whatever decision process. So
it does improve our stats. If they opt out, then there is just less, there is more percent of who's voting for decision making. The quorum kind of gets better. I mean, but do we care about that, right? Or it's more about establishing processes?
I mean, for this, it feels like it's a time thing because if you DM everybody to go, do you want to be a core contributor? And they don't get back to us in time. And we need to get the forms back in time for Tuesday. It just feels like, oh, I don't know.
Well, I do think that keeping it opt-in makes sense. But might as well, they're not going to say no and still fill in the form, I imagine. And if they do, we'd need to manually remove, but that's ridiculous. Then why would you say no?
It's not really manual removal. I did establish some logic now. So yeah, it's basically once it's more like refined, like for example, yeah, with these consent forms, I can try again and see if it's how long it's gonna take me to produce the similar report again. Most, I will assume it's at least gonna drop like 50% because I don't, now I just take templates and switch the data. And over the time, I guess it will be even faster. So it's not like manual removal, it would be, the data would go through a process, which is, cleans it anyway. And then we're gonna have like this result where we see that in current consent form, only one person voted for Africa Ambassador's Guild. That was not core contributor. Rest of them were all core contributors. But yeah, that's. No, but there is a lot of people who like. Basically, yeah, we can see 5 people, or like, or let's say 6 people voted almost like on most of the proposals, or majority, and the rest of them voted 1 to up to 4 proposals, 2 of them, and then the rest of the 25 people didn't vote at all. So and we
Just
had
to check
opt-in,
on
right?
that. I was just wondering, just to check on that, are we assuming that if somebody didn't vote in the first round, they can still vote this round, can't they? We're not restricting it to people who voted first time, are we?
I don't think we need to. Yeah, and Andrew said that the budgets increased quite a lot, so I'm not sure if we should even bring in like the previous vote over. I think it requires a bit of individual check on the proposal.
I mean, if you're DMing the forms to everybody, you could just add, if you are really not into being a core contributor, please let us know or something.
Well, yeah, what does it mean you don't want to be core contributor? Don't contribute. That's like an answer. I guess it's like if you don't want to be pinged for decision making, I guess that's the difference.
I mean, I'm just aware that there was one person who was really against being a core contributor because they didn't think that that should have been the process. And so they wanted to opt out, and I suppose we should just give people that option.
Okay, but that it would be easier if they asked to opt out. But then we will need to make it simple to say so. So I guess maybe every time we do a decision making for core contributors, we add like one sentence that says, if you don't want these messages, you can opt out to be core contributor.
I suppose effectively what we're doing is changing it from opt-in, sorry, from opt-out to opt-in. No, the other way around. You know what I mean.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're changing it from opt-in to opt-out.
That's in itself, that's fine by me. Just for a bit of context, the initial 31 people, there was 1 person not opting in by not responding. So nobody actively opted out.
Oh, that's just anecdotal, what I heard about somebody not wanting to, but yeah, fair enough.
Also, so regarding this blocker after video workgroup, I was thinking the other day that it's kind of stupid in a sense that even if like we have the deadline ended and they put blocker in, but if it's a valid blocker, I don't see a reason why it should be kind of not taken, not considered. With this example we have right now, it was considered and it was amended. However, in future situations, I feel like that the excuse of not, it's late, they submit the 3 hours later is not really a good argument to kind of say the proposal should pass. However, I understand then we can also continuously extend stuff. So, kind of what is the, should we take a hard stance here, or this is a movable target? Any ideas? On the block.
My problem with it is that I don't even understand what the objection is. It's worded in a really confusing way. So if the person who made it doesn't turn up, then I don't see how we can even discuss it because it doesn't make sense.
Well, that's another thing. But in general, I'm feeling like let's say we run this consent form again, and we give like that's another good question. Do we give 1 week or 2 weeks? Because there was I got 2 people who gave me feedback that 1 week was too short time. Do we want to extend it, or because it's already kind of a second iteration of the same quarter, should it be 1 week this time just to get it kind of done with, or we allow 2 weeks to consent?
What, and you mean put the date of the discussion meeting back a week or something?
All right, so we have already next governance session in.
I mean, we can change it if you think, but I sort of wonder if people were saying that it wasn't enough time. I might be misinterpreting it, but I read that as I didn't know about it in time. So if we just make sure that people know about it, it doesn't take that long to fill in a consent form, does it?
What does it mean to know about it? We did share it, everybody got pinged. Okay, so right now we say that the consent ends basically before governance work group, and which would be then on Monday basically, or Tuesday morning. Do we put it then 20 if the like on the Monday? 2001.
Do you need to do any processing of the replies, or could we just have it literally up until the meeting starts? I don't know.
I think it's easier maybe for me if it's a deadline at the Monday. So when after Treasury Guild operations or before, when I wake up earlier, I can do this, like update that quarterly budget, and so it's easier for maybe to kind of go over if there is anything to go over. Okay, but now considering this consent deadline 25, and now on governance work group, you look the proposal and somebody sitting in the call, maybe notifying this, sends a message to somebody else, and then 1 hour after the governance work group, somebody puts a blocker in for marketing guild. We come back to this again. Is it valid, or we have a hard stop, like a keep up with times and let's be vigilant or something? Or we allow still kind of this case by case state, like we did it right now?
Yeah, so if not, why do we have deadlines? We should stick with it. One, and that way we'll have a process. You know, it's a harsh take, but that's the way deadlines work, for good or for bad. You know, if we don't stick with them. That's my take. Same with the mandatory change for the end of this quarter report, and the deadline for presenting and all that schedule that we need to revise and finally present before probably the end of this month or the beginning of so we have settled rules and procedures for the next quarter, so all these things doesn't repeat.
So now we at least have it in the wording. If there are no blockers, then I guess this is amended. yeah, so we got a bunch of action items I'm gonna work on after the call. They're not that big of tasks, but yep. Anything else that people want to mention or ask or about the work group budget, quarter budget itself, consent forms or workgroups? Okay, next topic. I'm gonna share Treasury Guild and its workgroups program of whatever I planned previously. So on this bottom corner, I keep it stuff away from our previous discussions. And we, at the beginning, as you know, we all started with like a Treasury Guild, and then we started quite early using Treasury system to do these transactions and collect. But most of like how the transactions went and how did we audit them and organize them, this happened in the like a swarm side meetings. But this year we started also doing more open Treasury operations and putting it under the ambassador program brand. And now if those who have joined there can know that we now have more facilitators, and actually the process has started working quite nicely. Also, compared to last time, we didn't really have like a separate facilitation rewards, and maybe that incentivization also added it. So that section is going quite well. And because the facilitation amount is increasing, there is a high chance that we basically have more luxury to not join in these calls, and still the transactions will be like facilitated or like done. I mean, not if everybody's not in the call, then yes, but we have now more facilitators who can do operations. And yeah, last year and start of this year, we ended a bit of like dashboard updates, so you can see that there's always some incremental change on our analytics. You can also see budgets now, and that was the recent additions. And from the last quarter, if you remember, we added a bit of, I think, limits in. So yeah, now people can see how many AGX they even have left. So if I would go to Treasury Guild, then I somehow should be seeing it. I'm not sure, do I need to take recent months, because this is some feature that was implemented recently. Yeah, so we have only quarter two budgets implemented. So it says remaining a lot, but I think, yeah, I wonder. This we might, yeah, we need to look into it. But if in Treasury Guild specifically, we had a bunch of AGX like falling over to this quarter, so that's why the remaining amount is quite large. Here it says we added around 9,000, but we have here it shows 11,000, considering the Q1 spendings. Anyway, so that's a good thing. And now with this recent proposal, so read it, I suggested also Treasury Policy Work Group, which we start, and also put when to meetings, so those who are interested can still share your like preferences when you want to join. Right now we can see that we are moving away from Thursdays. Oh, and there's actually the same thing for them as a policy and Treasury Guild. I want them to be quite close to these meetings, close to each other, so that like either policy ends and then we go to Treasury Guild to already take further these policies, or vice versa, that we get some feedback from Treasury Guild and then we go to policy and quickly adopt to it. But I think Treasury policy first would be effective. So when we are doing this date and time selection, let's keep in mind, like it's the total time will be 3 hours. So the only 2 viable options right now I see that are Monday and Friday. Somebody fills another day, just add your availability. You simply add your name here on top, put your Discord name, so it's easier to recognize for me. I will, when I finally drop in the best or like the best times that and dates suggested, I will also consider who is asking to join. So the people who are already Treasury Guild members will have like a bit of higher priority, and also will look for core contributors. So if you're totally new, you will have less weight in a sense when we meet. So that's something, and we're gonna look into. Now about Treasury Guild facilitation itself. There's like one thing I'm going to spend like a full time on policy work. I haven't figured out how the facilitation work. I'm not even sure how many people will be interested in this. So that is something that we will figure out over time, and the capacity and the demand that policy work will take. But I'm already kind of estimating that it might take as much time as to run Treasury Guild itself, which kind of makes my time like almost pretty hard to run both of these sessions. So I'm basically letting you know that I would like to opt out from facilitating Treasury Guild sessions. And with facilitation, what I've been doing is preparing facilitation itself and then meeting summaries. And recently, or like with this new year, or this new quarter and year, I just spoke, I've spent around 3 hours average every meeting to summarize it. So it's quite a heavy load here of information. And I think what makes me that much of time is actually these recording videos, because I look them, I edit them, and then I also take notes from the video back to this Miro board. So I go a bit overhead, but I think it has been quite valuable to keep us in track and make sure that we don't miss anything, even though it happens every now and then because kind of missed writers the group consent form. So yeah, that's like a update of how things have been running and what's the plan. So if anybody has any questions or mentions, and especially around Treasury Guild facilitation, somebody can help to run this, or how should we approach carrying over this space itself?
That's interesting in a way. I love the way you facilitate. At the same time, I can see it being quite a steep time requirement. So then, the question kind of becomes like, do we want to keep doing that in the same way?
Yeah, that's one thing. Because I realized that I'm pretty much almost the only one who's so heavily using Miro boards. So we are gonna have like discrepancies probably if we are going to rotational facilitation, but I don't think it's a bad thing. I think it just adds a bit of new angle of how treasuries could be facilitated.
Well, just so technically speaking, being a Miro wizard is not, it's a plus, but not a requirement, let's say.
All right, Tevo, my question goes like this. All right, so you said you might kind of stop facilitating. So do you mean the treasury operations or these particular meetings? Because we usually...
only these particular meetings. And it's not like I don't join every time. And on average, I think every 4th session I'm able to do, which is every 2 months, I can spend like around 8 hours. So that's like estimation. And so like I'm keeping rotation. So it doesn't mean I'm totally out. So if you would get like, let's say the total 4 facilitators, then it would mean like every 2 weeks there is one facilitation, and that can be one of them. Or if somebody does it a bit more of 3. Like you get, we don't do it that often. Another thing, we can make the Treasury Guild sessions, maybe itself happen less. However, I always feel like that space has been useful, even if there isn't like very burning topic. There is always something to improve in Treasury.
Yeah. Yeah, I understand what you're saying.
I do think that the Miro wizard part is, I don't know if it's mandatory, but it's a good asset that you have. I've been trying to copy and emulate. I have a list of questions for you on how you do certain things. Because I really like the visual aspect of it. And it probably really helped the other day. So whoever jumps in to do, it will learn a lot from your operation. That said, I have one question because I have to jump off. It is on regard the Q2 budgets. So last R&D meeting, we have, for the last 2 R&D meetings, we have an agenda item, an action item that it's participating in the Treasury meeting from Thursday to make a simple question in regards of the guilds. So, and it's good that Peter is here too, and I think Duke, if he's still here. Yeah, I see Duke is still here. So we have our budget. Tevo, if you can click on that one. There was a clear question. We had a proposal for a research. And from the consensus we have from the community, my question was very concrete. Does this consensus includes this proposal on the final budget? So we can, if it does, we go and start working on it. And if not, we will, understand there is it wasn't able to fit. And we will keep working on the developments on the pipeline already.
Yeah, looks like it's missing, but it's not that research is missing. I think some numbers are totally changed because on here it shows 9,122 USD. And here it shows 9,970. Oh no, it's but yeah, it's even worse. So 8,000. So we have like 1,700 is missing. So it's this plus something else, I guess.
Okay, because so on the document, so the document that is linked to the quarterly report and the quarterly budget from operations, it does shows that number and that the proposal is included. That's why my question, because on your document it doesn't, it just stays from last quarter figure, they say 8,000 or whatever. So because Rojo added this to our proposal budget description, as I didn't. This didn't reflect on the requested on your. I didn't want to mess up your document, so that was the question.
Yeah, I wonder, but because it is quite the change. It's like additional 1,000. However, I'm also seeing that we have one like half quarter is passed. Is it? Maybe can be pushed to next quarter just to avoid this discussion. What do we do if the budget is changed after you get consensus? Even though it might have been in the middle of consensus or before.
Yeah, it was before, but it was one of the point of the discussion. It was Peter was in the meeting. It was the last day for submitting the budget, we included this. Everybody in the meeting think it was a good idea for our research. So we did it on time. That's not the discussion. It would be that if it's because there are new groups, new work groups, and new guilds. So our understanding was there was probably not going to be a budget to fit it, but in terms of the time restriction and the date, time it was presented, I think that one it's covered. And again, we'll keep it for the next quarter. You know, it's something that not to avoid a discussion. It will be in terms of budget available, and I don't know. So I don't know. Duke, Peter, you were part of that meeting. You want to jump in and say something?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Thank you very much, Guillermo. Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Yes, we do.
Okay. Okay. So I have been following the conversation so far, and pretty much why it was a last minute decision was that I had already written the proposal and thought I had submitted it. You know, I had quite a number of things on my desk, you know, on that window. So I think what even triggered or what reminded me that I had not submitted it was a meeting I was in, governance work group, where Peter mentioned, you know, deadlines for submission, and I just decided to go back and check to verify if I had submitted it, and I realized, oh, I did not submit it. So I had to quickly send a message to Guillermo that morning, and also I think I also ran by Vani same morning, and yeah, then I submitted it not quite minutes after my conversation with them. So the submission was done on the last day, right? But then it was also done ahead of consenting. So I want to think that on our part, and then also on the R&D part, you know, we had done our best to meet the deadline. So while we're still trying to nip it in the bud or trace where the source of the error is from, I'm still open to doing the research. I had already put together a team that I was going to work with to do the research, and we had already, while awaiting the outcome of this process, we had already begun, you know, brainstorming and putting machineries in place to, you know, get going with the process for that. You know, the research is quite important, I believe, and that was why I requested to research on that, you know, because there are many people in the ecosystem who feel marginalized, you know, simply because of one health defect or the other. And I felt it was needful to, you know, to be able to identify, you know, the prevalent issues we may be dealing with and create solutions, or at least create a solution blueprints for people who may be feeling marginalized in the ecosystem. So yeah, the project borders on inclusivity, and I'm just doing this maybe for those of us who are here who do not know about the project and are not members of the Treasury Guild. Sorry, are not members of the R&D Guild, you know, and weren't there when I initially pitched the project, right? So that's pretty much the overview of it. It's a research on including people in the ecosystem who probably will be having one form of disability or the other, right? So that's the broad overview about it. We already have machineries in place to begin, and so if we can begin, we would be pleased, would be delighted to go ahead with what we have already started working on, or to continue rather with what we have already started working on. But how be it, or whatever the case may be, I'm open to the consensus we reach, you know, on this table, you know, at this time. Yeah, so that's pretty much about it.
Thank you, Duke. Yeah, so again, I think everybody on the chat we're all on the same page. Building the process, I don't know, Tevo, how you want to handle this. I just wanted to point it out because we were we didn't have a clear understanding on where we were with this. So you
Yeah.
lead, we will follow.
Right now, it's I found actually the exact version history. So this is the version on April morning that has the same cost that applied to the version few hours later, or I don't know actually PM when is that. It could be even this version, April 28th version. So anything below, no, this not, okay, so either this version or this version is basically what I used, which is a few hours, like 12 hours before I updated and it wasn't 26th. I assumed it was before because it was also purple. But if you go back in history, then we can see that it before 26th, the number is there. But yeah, in terms of process, I think we can clearly see that this is our first time and we are doing this like on budget. So it is a very operational. So in order to kind of get stuff accurately, yeah, we need to just chat and DM each other until we have it more automated. Because something we can do here is like in the work group itself, consent before submitting a proposal. That might help also avoid confusions. So even if it is last time, at least it comes with the latest information. Yeah, otherwise, yeah, we may end up in different versions.
Yeah, I agree on our side. We should have presented this concern earlier at the change on the budget, even if it was on the deadline before the deadline didn't show. Probably my bad too.
We could also actually probably quickly update it as soon as the concept comes out, or yeah, and the budget was shared all the time. So
yeah, exactly.
Now we know because this sheet is getting more and more important every month. So that's
yeah,
and these budgets are also manually added to the Treasury dashboard for now. The one I showed earlier.
Yeah, really, my thought it was that it didn't fit it. That's why it didn't show automatically. But again, it's deadlines. Spanish says it goes either ways. Peter says it was there too for everyone to see. I don't know. It's not my call. And again, that's what it is. So probably my mistake, Tevo, too.
All right. I will put that topic under open topics we discussed. But coming back to either facilitation or Treasury Guild, are there any questions, insights from that side, or other open topics you want to bring up because we have gone through the agendas that we prepared?
I was just going to say before about the thing about using Miro boards. I kind of think that if you were not facilitating Tevo, we could still use them, but we'd use them in a slightly different way, a bit more participatory. Because I know when you're in control of a Miro board, I just sit back and let you drive. But like, if we were all doing it, we could jump in and, people, like the sort of sessions that we'd maybe do in Swarm, where we get people to add stuff to the board, and then we kind of organize it and filter it. So yeah, we can still use a Miro, but maybe in different ways.
Oh yeah, that kind of brings back regarding like facilitation requirements. If Miro board is not needed, but what are them? Are we still expecting the meeting summaries? Should this be done by facilitator, or is this going to be more distributed between different people?
For what it's worth, I would say the summary should probably be done by someone else. It's a lot to facilitate and document at the same time.
All right. So my question is a bit different. That's why I was waiting. So I don't know. Should I go on?
Sure.
All right. So basically, if you decide to stop facilitating this kind of sessions, not the operations, then I guess you have to train some of the facilitators from the operations to actually work on this type of sessions, because I don't know. Basically, I think we have 6 facilitators in the operations or more than, and I'm not sure how many of us are able to facilitate these kinds of meeting, not the operations, but these particular sessions. So I don't know. What do you think?
To me, these are two totally different type of facilitations for sure. And actually, I would say the operations itself is like the hardest facilitation stuff ever. So this Treasury Guild is like the peanuts compared to what the hell you need to know and manage in that work group. But yeah, they are totally different styles, because in operations we go through a very specific process, and every time it's the same thing. Where in here it's based on what people want to talk about and who joins these meetings. I'm not really that worried, because if there are issues, they probably will be brought out. Slightly worried maybe on the meeting summary size, because probably the handwriting kind of will be different, especially if there's going to be several different people, and it might lose like the overhauling narrative, like what was is this 2 months beyond discussions, are they like building on top of what's happening? And with meeting summaries, as a facilitator and as a meeting summary creator, it always helped me prepare by writing meeting summaries. So it had this like combo effect. But if it distribute all the different tasks, it's gonna be different. I don't know. I assume it's gonna be slightly worse, but then again, I don't know what quality is even needed in order to move on. I think we will find a different balance then.
Yeah. All right.
And if we like zoom back and look, then, for example, this year, I don't see many purple stickies or blue stickies or green stickies, but there are a few, and which they represent are basically action items. So the sessions ourselves have been like more participatory and discussionary compared to last year. I think that was more like a Treasury work group rather than Guild itself, and it flipped between a lot of doing stuff in sessions. We also have documented in sessions. Yeah, we had like extra sessions also. Yeah, a bunch of lost some data. Regarding one thing I can kind of give support for is when whoever is facilitating and doing stuff. I'm not saying that I'm not showing this calls. Probably I'm gonna be in all the Treasury Guild calls. I just don't want the overhead of preparing and doing meeting summaries every 2 weeks. And if there are like action items, like today we have some things that I have already done before, so it's pretty logical and fast for me to quickly whip up other content. So I will still be taking action items, and I will coordinate with the facilitator. And then, or we can also test and see what happens if we, for example, take a break for 1 month from Treasury Guild sessions. But we do need it back soon, because we are about time actually to prepare Q3 proposals. I will still focus on Treasury policy, but once this is set up and we have some experience, my next like I will be making sure that we have Q3 also planned. And by then I hopefully know who is interested facilitating Treasury Guild or how it's going to be approached.
Yeah, fair. I would say we're getting quite close to actually being on schedule, right? With the calendar and everything like that. No, yeah, I mean, can only respect your time, of course. So in that sense, I'm also curious if somebody will step up and do it. But yeah, for now, basically it's 6 weeks until the start of Q3. Technically, I keep having this thing in the back of my mind where we would potentially be on track midway this year. So yeah, I'm not sure how realistic this will be, but if we then pause these meetings, yeah, that's not really gonna happen. Yeah, not sure what to say.
Yeah, you mentioned like at least Guilermo mentioned that he's interested to learn also how Megapart is facilitated. So if there is somebody who wants to kind of try facilitating, I'm trying to have like a one-to-one session just between us, or if there are more people, 2, 3, you can have a separate session where I go over and explain how to create a template. And you can already see I have made several templates before. And what I put in agendas usually are where we get them, dework management, summary management, and I can just go over the process of how I do it. But there is nothing that special in my opinion, and I do it the same thing in all different sessions. So, Vanessa?
Yeah, it feels like there are several tasks kind of nested into each other that you kind of do as one task. Maybe we should split it up. Like agenda creation is one thing. In the meeting, actual facilitation is another, and managing the Miro board is another. Because I think for people who are not super familiar with Miro or don't use it quite as you do, it's hard to facilitate and to get it onto the Miro board. So if we split that into two, it might make it easier. And then there's documentation and writing up. So it feels like if we split those up, it's maybe a bit more overhead at first, but it does mean that people don't feel it's so daunting.
And when you say managing Miro board, you mean like creating that template, filling the agenda?
I mean, that, yes, but also in the meeting itself, actually typing stuff in. It's like, for me, I mean, I'm not very good at multitasking anyway, but I can't do both. I can't facilitate the room and see who's got their hand up and do all that and type into the Miro board as well. That probably sounds a bit mad to you because it comes as second nature to you by now, but yeah, I would prefer to have somebody else doing the typing while I'm doing the facilitating, or vice versa.
Yeah, I think it's like kind of like a two-person job too.
Like I said before, I also think maybe we could make it kind of more distributed. So like if we're all, I don't know how this, I mean, I've seen it work, I've had it work in meetings before, but the idea that everybody is up for typing things into the Miro. So when I'm speaking, Rob, you might be typing, and then you start speaking, and I might start typing, and Onyeka might then speak, and Peter might type, and we just all muck in.
If only there was a tool that would like type what is being said. But yeah, I get what you're saying. Of course, that's quite different than like Read AI doesn't go into Miro, right?
Yeah, from here, I feel like it might be actually easier if whoever is facilitating is using their own way of doing to just make it sure that the space exists rather than making sure it continues as it was before. But it would be definitely, I think, valuable for people to manage sessions on Maribor and then have that slight experience of what does it feel like. And later, if you are the one who taking Maribor meeting notes, and then later doing meeting summary, you might actually like it. I did to read. Oh, we have schedule here. What does it mean? And then you write the sentence about schedule and then discussion points or something. Okay, but how would we figure that out for the next session? So right now, over this, I would say, okay, this the scheduling when to meet itself. So next week, my idea was to update it and pick dates and times, and that may already put Treasury Guild session on at the fastest 27th May, which is in basically 10 days. If I don't prepare that, who will? Are we just going to join up to Treasury Guild and bring up topics? Or do we want to prepare some agendas before? Still, and just drop in like in Discord chat and then we bring them up. Because if we don't do that here and there is no response in asynchronous way, well, I can join the meeting, but if nothing will be prepared, and then we basically have just open topic to be start with, and we go from there. But there is a danger that if you don't bring agendas, we will just end the call.
So it's still 2 weeks, right? So we could try a week of async. Then if that doesn't work, we still have a week for the plan B, which I don't have at the ready.
I mean, I think the plan B is to have a look through the Miro boards for the recent meetings, say over the last month and a half, and there are things that we didn't resolve. So that would be the agenda.
For example, one thing to quickly to go through if you want to know what's happening. For example, details of the purpose stuff are all action items. Details of the opportunity or new type of tokens. So waiting governance workgroup feedback. If we want to reward tokens to these who were using consent. So for now, right now, it's not recorded at all because I'm waiting that finalization to add tokens and what type of tokens. And then if we go to this fourth, we had this merged topics. I think that is now a bit of outdated. However, when I usually go action, and even though this is like outdated, I do remember there was, I think, I don't know which workgroup did it, but there was a document that answered several merge questions. So I would just put that document in here, link it, what it was done, or some other foundational documents that have answered and are done giveaway on that. So if whoever stumbles or from the future comes to this Miro board and sees merge stuff, he can still get to some resources that provide here. Alternatively, the way I cancel task is put think to the task and say, nobody's gonna work with it, we don't deal with it. If that comes up again, we then deal with it. So yeah, there are definitely several topics. I want to have a specific location where all decision voting items will be found. Well, that is something that is now completed because if we go back here, I remember somebody did new channel, this one, but I cannot share a channel, so I guess I just make a picture. And so on. So you can see we have a bunch of stuff here, but I'm not going to tell and go into all of them. And of course, last year's stuff, it's maybe we need a retrospective. That could be a good start off, I guess, for new facilitator, because it's always you get different views from different people, and there are stuff and action items from last year that we didn't do. We maybe want to do them now. Or we find some action items that was done, for example, this Discord channel. Rob Bedoya. Is your Discord name also Rob Bedoya?
No, it's DS9.
And I assume interested in facilitation. Okay. Are you up to also to have like a one-to-one session? And I will just coordinate with you asynchronously.
That would be great.
Okay. What link? Link to Marabot?
Yeah, of all these different sheets that are here.
Different sheets.
Yeah, like this is a page right here, and if you move your cursor to the right, it's like another. You know how these are pages. Can I have the link to this? I know that I was looking at the these links up top over here, which looks like this, not this Google Docs.
I share the Marabot link again. They're all in the same, basically. One thing also, I guess I will talk to Rob Bedoya separately, but the budgeting stuff so far has been basically everything is $20 per hour. And yeah, we can do separate tasks, but if you want templates, then I basically have just 3 templates just to manage all the facilitations. One is where I list every task where I spend time preparing workshops. You can see some sessions I prepare on 2 different days. You don't have to go that detailed to show dates, but I'm already used to it, and it just helps me to keep track stuff. And in future, there are things we actually want them to capture dates from subtasks, but I haven't integrated the Tevo. So, and then another one for list of meeting summaries and documentations. It looks like last week was 2 hours. But with last week, last session, we didn't also have a video. Yeah, so it already took 1 hour out. And then the participation itself. But all right, I will already see that the session is getting its close, and we covered a bunch of stuff over our open topics. So we will do a quick meeting summary, and then we are done. And before I close this main call or this main video, does anybody wants to say something, add something?
I've got a minor practical question. There's 2 people in the list of core contributors, which I'm trying to update. Huzaifa and Miroslav Raj, and I don't have their Discord names. So if anybody in the call would happen to know who I'm talking about, please do.
I think Miro's just Treasury, I think, isn't he?
Yep.
I tried searching for it, but search again.
This Treasury Guild.
I see.
Who was the second name?
Well, in Treasury Guild, I see Andre pop up, but no Miro.
If on the shears you write Treasury, you will see 2 names.
No.
Wow. Find the different channel where Treasury has access.
Sure. Okay, I'll make that work. No problem.
Maybe
and
that's,
then
I don't know, it doesn't affect.
Then Huzaifa.
Huzaifa.
Oh, it's so weird. I see Treasury with the nickname Treasury Guild under the Treasury Guild member role, but when I try to add this account to, maybe I'm just an idiot. Yeah, okay, it appears I'm an idiot. So the last one then is Huzaifa.
Who? How'd you spell it?
Huzaifa.
Oh, I'm not sure.
Maybe it's the Goofy mover, but I'm not sure. Yeah, I don't know.
There's Hoof Humor, which also starts with HU, but that's the only overlapping part there.
Although, can you type his name in the Zoom chat? Because maybe we misunderstand the spelling. Yeah, I think it's the same person. How would I check that I have done this weird thing with Vasumadan, or keep forgetting what his Discord name is, and then I always check meeting summaries from the archival, and then I fact check that with the Discord names I used, and then I know, okay, that's the same person. Same thing should be done with Hufi, but I have no clue which sessions it was. Actually, I could open this and just look here, right? Oh, who saw them?
But sorry, let's not take 9 people's time for this. It's a bit overkill.
Yeah, well, the session is ended. If nobody else wants to add something, thanks for joining. I will stop recording and then I will do a meeting somewhere and then I will stop call anyway. So I'm just going to try to figure out 2.5, and I will go to my report and maybe we find here 2.5, 2.5, 2.5. Wait a second, 2.5. Zuckerhausen, Clement, Cleveland, Korga, Hufi. Yep. Husa and Hufi is the same person. So Hufi Umar is same as Huzaifa.
All right. Cool. Then the core contributor list is updated and is now 41 people.
Okay, and everybody from YouTube, you now saw how do we update and recognize our people by matching their different aliases. Thanks for joining. How we're going to do Treasury Guilds is going to be an open topic. So join in asynchronous Discord channel discussions, and I will also connect the rope there publicly and prepare a session or a small meeting together to just go over how I facilitate and what usually expected in Ambassador Pro.
Thanks a ton for hosting.